Yes, polygamy and monogamy. I know this is the case in Uganda. This is a new law that most people have misinterpreted, and most people have run talking about polygamy. Today, we want to find out, are people happy that polygamy has been legalized? Has it been even legalized in Uganda? And what is our perception of a polygamy and monogamy, both culturally and what society views? We're going to let you know about this law that was passed in Uganda. Did it really give a clear way for men to marry as many wives as even 10? Or where does it actually direct us to go? In this case, together with me is Christine Tumhaire, an advocate of the High Court, a senior lawyer who has been at the helm of the law. And in this case, we want to find out exactly what does polygamy or the polygamy law that was passed by Justice Tiburia. Thank you so much, and we dive into this. And please do not go away. But guys, share this content for you to be able to support others and give knowledge out there. Thank you. You're most welcome once again.
Thank
Christine,
you.
it's my pleasure always hosting you. I know the land friends are always very busy.
Yes.
Lawyers are very busy.
Yes.
And when you sacrifice your time to come up and give out information, I want to assure you that you're supporting communities. And this is the way you give back to the community, especially taking our community out of ignorance.
I'm glad.
Tell us, polygamy. Are you a polygamist? Are you pro-polygamy or
pro-monogamy?
Pro-monogamy.
Yes.
Yes.
Hello, viewers. As you've heard, Bravo has introduced me once again. Christine Tumhaire is my name. And I've been here before, a couple of weeks back. And I'm here to discuss the polygamy, the case for polygamy. And I know that he has not yet started from the beginning. You haven't started clearly to give viewers an introduction as to how we reached to that law.
Yes.
Yeah, because I will give a brief up. Maybe we'll, along the conversation, pick one or two things.
Yes.
Polygamy, you cannot say polygamy has been passed as law right now.
Yes.
This is something that has been existing in our societies.
Yes.
But very few people probably recognize it because of the church marriages, which is monogamous, one man, one woman.
Yes.
But polygamy has been existent in our cultures.
Yes.
And polygamy has also been existent under the Mohammedan law, the Muslims.
Yes.
Where Muslims are allowed to marry maximum of 4 wives as long as you can ably provide for them.
Yes.
And under the cultural setup, it doesn't limit how many women you must have.
Yes.
It is as many as you can, even if you cannot provide for them.
Even when you cannot provide for them, as long as you're a husband.
Different cultures, though, have different ways. If they say our grandfathers had like 5 women, others will say that my grandfather had 5 women, so I'm entitled to have 5 women.
Yes.
So they will do that. So polygamy has been existing in our society, but just because we have not paid keen attention. But this case is constitutional petition 12 of 2021 awakened people again to the reality of polygamy in society.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. Amazing. When you talk about polygamy, as you say that culturally and society-wise, where do we bring out ourselves? Because I've seen so many people want to go back to polygamy, even when they have gone through church marriage or the civil court marriage. Where do we tie up ourselves? When I talk about tie up ourselves, we're talking about the men and then also the women. At some point, women believe in polygamy, in monogamy. But at some point, women choose to go for the polygamous marriages. Where do we tie ourselves, and where does this law now give us a leeway as men to actually go and marry as many women as we can?
As you can.
Yes.
First of all, you have to know that Christian or church marriage is one woman, one man.
Yes.
So that after you've contracted the church marriage, do not think that you're going to contract another form of marriage.
Yes.
You're done.
Yes.
So the case was just trying to re-emphasize what is already in place, the laws that are already in place.
Yes.
that we cannot right now deny,
Yes.
because they were arguing about women's rights vis-a-vis marrying different women. They have no right to health, no right to, you know, decision making in terms of property.
Yes.
But you see, there were very many arguments that came out in the case, but I'll briefly probably talk about it later.
Yes.
But what I wanted to answer you first is, we need to know how these marriages and how this monogamy or polygamy applies to us in
Yes.
society.
Yes.
Number one, if you decide to contract a church marriage today and you take someone before God and they wear a ring,
Yes.
you're done.
Okay.
The other,
That's
when
the
you
prison.
contact another,
Yes.
I can take you to court
Yes.
for what is called bigamy.
Bigamy. Yes.
For getting into another marriage with the existing marriage have not dissolved by court,
Yes.
or you have not done anything to nullify it, to get it out of the way.
Yes.
But if I decide to go for a culture or traditional marriage,
Yes.
and women out there must know this,
Yes.
that if Bravo decides today to introduce a woman,
Yes.
and you don't take them to church, and you go for another woman, and you also don't take that very woman to church,
Yes.
it means it's okay.
I can go as long
As many as you can.
as 20.
And the law under Uganda Registration Services Bureau is mandated to register that customary marriage.
Yes.
Anyhow, because that is what you have taken up as a culture, and customs have backed you up.
Yes. Yes.
So you cannot contract, you cannot now choose amongst them and say, let me take my favorite one to church. No, because the decision is they all must remain on the same level. I had a case where one was taken to church,
Yes.
but another one was culturally
Yes.
introduced. But the one of culture was before,
Yes.
and then she took the case to court to sue my client and the ex-husband, saying this marriage in church must be nullified.
Yes.
Bravo, I read the books. I read case law.
Yes.
There was nowhere my friend's church marriage was valid.
Or invalid.
It was invalid.
Yes.
I ended up consenting.
Yes.
Because I know that once that culture dictates, that means if you wanted to contract another marriage and it was going to be legal, it was going to be all customary. One was not going to be preferential over the other, as long as the other one came first.
Yeah.
You understand? So sometimes fasting right is very important. Which kind of marriage have you celebrated first before you go for the other? It also plays a big role.
Wow. So you want to tell me that if a man decides to have two wives today, and these two wives he introduced to number one, and he has introduced the second wife as well.
Yeah.
But along the way, or even three wives or four, but along the way, probably one wife convinces him better that let's go to church. And then the man decides his sins are forgiven. Let's talk about he's born again. You know, I've seen this scenario where somebody is married 4 wives. And then he chooses to go and give himself to Jesus Christ. And in this case, he chooses to go and pick one of the wives, the middle wife or the last wife, to go to church with him. Now, is this marriage valid?
That's the same scenario I've told you. It's not.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not. And that's the same scenario I told you that a client of mine was faced with.
Yes. So it means that the wives have a right to go to court and stop this marriage.
They have right to go to court, or they have other remedies, because there's a case that was argued in the court that said, of course, you go to the culture. If you celebrated a cultural marriage, you can go to court. You can first go to the custom that married you, and then you ask them for divorce, because there are procedures laid down by each custom and culture on how to divorce.
Yes.
Or the court has inherent powers to do so.
Yes.
You can go to court and ask court to take out that customary marriage.
Okay.
So you have options at that time, but still that marriage you have taken to church over the others is not legal.
It's not legal.
And I, as a customarily married wife, can go to petition court to dissolve that church marriage.
To dissolve it.
Yes, and actually even nullify it from the very word, because it means it was null from the very start. But if it was on the same level of customary marriage, then it's okay. Wow. And I can also ask the government to register the same.
But let me sit even comfortably.
Yes, please.
Are you aware that there are so many marriages that are actually not valid in this country? I would even tell you that marriages where people have been in marriage for 20 years or 30 years. Reason being, many marriages are not registered marriages.
Mm.
I will give you a scenario. A friend of mine was, they had an issue with the wife. And they started battling actually in court.
Mm.
I myself I'll tell you the truth. I told this wife, I said, oh, could you please go and find out whether the marriage, you're trying to fight with your husband,
It's
this divorce,
legal.
is illegal. And guess what?
Mm.
They went and found that actually the marriage was not registered. Then I told this person, I said, so why are you fighting for marriage or for the divorce where marriage was not registered?
It's not there.
And you can't believe what happened. And in this case, guess what was happening?
What?
This person had refused to sign the divorce papers, was refusing to sign divorce papers just because they had put up a condition of wanting 100 million to settle out of this marriage. When they went in detail to find out whether this marriage is actually registered or not, they realized the marriage was not registered. Guess what? Even the 30 million she could not get out of this marriage because the marriage was invalid. So I want to tell you that there's so many people who are not aware that they wedded in church, but these marriages are actually invalid because they were not registered. So tell us, in the reality, if somebody has gone to church to marry or has gone for sale, what are they supposed to do? And even the viewers who are watching right now, how can they go and validate their marriages?
Bravo, it's not a new scenario. I've seen that scenario many times of what you say, that many marriages are not. First, before you get married, you have to make sure that the church you go to has been registered and is recognized by URSB to celebrate that marriage.
Yes.
And many people are excited about the white wedding, but forget that there are certain background checks they have to do. It's not your church. There are many Pentecostal churches, with due respect, they don't have licenses to marry.
Yes.
But of course, because everyone is excited in that union, they will give you a certificate, and that certificate just stops between the two of you. It will tie the two of you who are not knowledgeable in that area, whether your marriage is going to be recognized or not.
Yes.
So what I advise couples to do before you get married, go and look at the church you're going to celebrate your marriage in. Make a search at the Uganda Registration Services Bureau, because these churches are mandated to file what we call returns.
Yes.
What are the returns? Each year or each word, they require to submit all the names and marriages they have celebrated in that particular time, so that the Uganda government recognizes the marriages. Because when I'm making a search, let's say like nowadays, embassies prefer even civil marriage to church marriage. You know why? Because there are churches everywhere. They are not going to even know whether this is a valid marriage or not, because they will not be in the system at URSB. But if your name is in the system, it means you indeed celebrated a valid marriage. And it's upon the person going to marry you, or your pastor, or your church elder, to be frank and open with you and open up these other documents that they have as in form of licenses before you can arrange your marriage to be in a certain place. Because if you don't do that, then you're going to sit on a certificate and you're going to be excited for the day we shall come and eat chimeremia or show up and eat food. But when it comes to time for when you disagreements and like that you have told me, you will find that your marriage was null from the very beginning. It wasn't there. And there's nothing the government can do about it after. There's totally nothing. What you have to do is probably, if you're still in love with your spouse, if you're not backstabbing each other that time, you just go back to the Uganda Registration Services Bureau and celebrate a civil marriage, which is cheaper. Which is cheaper and very convenient, instead of going back to the hectic life of a church marriage and what is involved. So there is so much, Bravo.
Wow. If you're out there and you went to church and married, are you aware that your marriage is actually not registered? And I will tell you the truth, even the traditional churches you're looking at, most of those churches sat on your marriage and never went to go for registration of this marriage. They are not registered. Even if you're from an Anglican church, I would even say the Catholic Church, many churches are supposed to put in returns. That means they are supposed to take your marriages to the Uganda Services Registry Bureau and register your marriages. So if you got URSB, it costs about 25,000.
Just that.
And you search for your marriage and it's not there, guys. Your wedding or your marriage is invalid. You may listen to this and you sit down and relax. But at that moment, you realize that actually your church made a mistake. And many churches are doing this. After marrying you, for them, they think because the certificate has their headline, they forget that actually marriages are conducted by government. Only that these are agents. The
Yes.
churches are agents
Of the government.
of government.
Mm.
But when they relax
Mm.
and they do not submit your marriage for registry, then your marriage
It's
is
invalid.
invalid. Let's talk about polygamy. If a man has married in church,
Yeah.
and then later chooses to go polygamy, maybe at one point I thought monogamy or the church wedding was right for me. But at the end of the day, I realized I made a mistake, and many men are doing that.
Mm.
And I reverse, go back and marry my 3 other wives. Is it legal or illegal?
It is highly illegal.
Legal.
Because I said this
Yeah.
time, I told you, Bravo, let's take in this scenario, time is of time. The timing is
Yes.
important.
Yes.
If you decide, like you've just asked me, but vice versa, the other
Yes.
question.
Yes.
If you first celebrate monogamous marriage,
Yes.
one man, one woman,
Yes.
then the other marriages are invalid. Because you chose one,
Yes.
and you have not yet dissolved one.
Yes.
You have to dissolve one, then you go back and marry as many as you want through cultural practices.
Yes.
Where you belong.
Yes.
You cannot go for church and now you want to again go
Yes.
to polygamy and say, oh, polygamy, or perhaps I forgot my ancestors had so many, I need to have so many. But you had one you took to church.
Yes.
And he's still alive.
Yes.
And you still haven't gone to court to get a decree absolute out of
Yes.
that marriage.
Yes.
That one is invalid.
Yeah.
And that church marriage of yours, or the wife in church, it has a right to go to court.
Yes.
And petition all to invalidate the other marriages you have celebrated under customary.
Wow. So what I learned from you is that at the beginning, first know what you want.
Yes.
Polygamy in Uganda is permissive.
Yes.
Monogamy is also permissive.
Yes.
So, but at this onset,
Mm.
you need to choose
Where?
where to fall.
Yes.
Otherwise, the law will catch up with you.
It will catch up with
So
you.
I should say, men should be aware.
Yeah.
And this information I think is coming out very well. When
Yeah.
you want to go that way, go. But again, there's where we are cornered to go
Yeah.
the other way,
Yes.
and the law works against us
Yes.
as men.
Yes.
So in this case, when we go back now to this law, I want you to explain to people what was this law for, and why was this law brought up, and why was it decided, and everybody starts celebrating.
Mm.
Where is the celebration
Mm.
of this polygamy? We call
Polygamy.
it polygamy law.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where is the celebration,
Mm.
and where should we not celebrate?
Mm.
And who should celebrate and who should not celebrate in this case?
Okay. Bravo, there is no celebration.
Yes.
And the media picked out the most important part so that everyone in Uganda would be alert, and they
Yes.
they managed.
Yes.
Why shouldn't you be happy about what was said? It wasn't passed as law, but it was a ruling from the Constitutional Court
Yes.
that sits also as a court of appeal before 5 justices.
Yes.
And they all agreed with Justice Margaret Tibulia,
Yes.
which I also concur with. You know
Yes.
why? She upheld what we already have
Yes.
in our books of statute.
Yes.
She upheld what the Mohammedans believe in,
Yes.
and what the cultural practices are.
Yes.
And she said, if the law has provided for the culture of a certain place where they believe in to have more than 2 or 5 wives,
Yes.
then they go ahead and celebrate the same.
Yes.
If the Mohammedans also have done that, and they have consistently done that, the 4 women maximum, the haq is as long as you can provide for them.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
And
They have not condoned a Christian who has celebrated a Christian marriage where one man and one woman apply and said, no, you should have many. No,
Yes.
they didn't say it.
Yes.
So the one who's saying polygamy is condoned in Uganda, it doesn't cut across, because the choice is yours to make.
Wow.
The choice is yours to make. As a woman or a man, the choice is yours to make. Which marriage you fit in, and you have the right to change to whichever religion you want to go to.
Yes.
Whether you want to go to Muslim where they have 4 kids, please
Go
do
for
so,
it.
because you have the right,
Yes.
the freedom to move to any across both where you feel comfortable. But they have not said you have one, and now we are changing the law, and now the Mohammedans should have only one haki, then the culture, you should have only one wife. They didn't mention that.
Yes.
They just reiterated what you already know, what you already have, what was already drafted way back when our culture was still culture. Perhaps maybe the Christians had not yet,
Yes.
been introduced in Uganda. At the time they came, they were cultural practices, and that was the basis for which they passed the law under the Customary Marriages Registration Act.
Wow.
But what most people don't know is that they have to register their customary marriages, though it doesn't invalidate them.
Yes.
Though you can go ahead and register with Uganda Registration for Services Bureau. There are forms that are provided where the clerk signs of a place where you belong. Perhaps you're in Gulu, wherever you go to the sub-county, there are forms, you put photos of both, you and your wife, and then you have your IDs, and then you pay a certain fee and you register it with Uganda Registration Services Bureau. That's the one thing that is missing. But other than that, this constitutional petition did not. It discussed various factors, of course, very many issues that I appreciate the judges for. But at first, I was also thinking, because I saw in the media, I also thought the same thing like you, that you know what? They have introduced polygamy across board. That means even a Christian man like anyone out there can go and celebrate another form of marriage.
Wow.
But it's not the case. You have to remain with your wife. If not, women should be sensitized. They have to go for bigamy. They have to sue and go to bigamy. Or if you cannot tolerate each other, then you go and first nullify, or not even nullify. If you were according to the law, you have to first go through a court process so that you dissolve that marriage before you celebrate another form of marriage.
As Christian, as Christian,
yes.
Are you Christian?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Does me having 4 wives stop me from being a good Christian?
According to the Bible, which I'm not a scholar, though, I must put I'm also
having 4 wives stop them from being a good Christian?
I'm not going to go into the merits of that question right now. You know why? Because for me, what the Bible teaches me is that you have to have one woman.
Okay.
One man, one woman. And I respect that very much. If you go to church and you put a ring, they say you better get someone you're going to be in the same, they call them cellmates. Because the ring is like tying you down to that very woman. And for whether good and bad times, you stick by your person. I speak by my man as your man speaks by a woman. And that's what Christian marriage is all about. You raise up your children in a family and you develop each other. Then that's what the typical Christian setup should be.
I am looking at this scenario. I am a Christian. As the Muslims say, Iman, the Iman is always at the heart. I am a good Christian, but I chose to marry 4 wives. And I go to my church, okay, I am married, customarily, but I present myself as a good Christian. I'm trying to find out to say, if somebody presents themselves to be good Christians, does having 4 wives disqualify you from being a good Christian? Because I customarily have 4 wives, and I'm a good church goer. Does that disqualify me from being a good Christian? In reality, that's what I'm trying to.
A good Christian or not, Bravo,
yes,
is a personal decision. It's not someone to dictate whether you're a good Christian or not, or your pastor.
Yes.
But also you have to follow it with the practices of what, and follow what the Bible says you follow.
Okay.
If the Bible says have this one woman, then that's what the Bible tells us to do. Just like the Mohammedan, they follow what the Quran says.
Yes.
Have 4 hakis and provide for them equally. So it's up to you and your conscience. Say, you know what? For me, I'm going with my one wife because that's what the Bible, and it's on person-to-person basis. It doesn't invalidate you anyhow, but what is your belief and how far can you go to put those practices of what the Bible teaches us into reality and practice them? That is a personal question, Bravo.
So now I see Christians with 4 wives are not Christians. They're somewhere. It's amazing, guys. It's amazing, and we are here to really to bring out all different scenarios. I know some people are lost somewhere, and this is where men are making mistakes and say, oh, now I want to be a good Christian. I have to drop all these 4 wives that I have, and I have to take one other wife to church so that I come out of this sin. Because we call it sinning because you already have 4 wives. So to cleanse yourself, you take one of them to church, and then you become so holy. Does that make you holy because you've dropped these 4 wives? And what happens to these 4 wives? Okay, you may say even customarily you did not marry them, so they still become your girlfriends. But now you've chosen to come out and officiate one wife. Does that save me as well? I have 4 wives, but I did not marry them customarily, not introducing them, but people know that these are my wives. But I've chosen to come out of sin and marry this one wife, the middle one or the last one. So with these 4 wives that I had that were not married customarily, can they put up a case against me because I've already committed with them for 15 years or 20 years? But again, after 25 years, I choose one of them to take them to church. Does that invalidate all these relationships?
Like I said, Bravo, before, you chose, but there are some cases on some scenarios where they say some rulings which they say cohabitation for long.
Yes, for long.
For long. I think that's been introduced in other jurisdictions.
Yes.
If you cohabit with someone for long and someone gives birth to your children and does all that, it's also a presumption that you're customarily married to them.
Yes. So it can
presumption, yes, it can eventually catch up with you. Yeah, cohabitation is very key, because women think, oh, I can go and cohabit, or a man, I've cohabited, I've provided, I've done all the men roles, so I can easily get out of it. If you show that your culture as a woman dictates if you cohabit with somebody for this long, that person is taken as to be your wife in terms of provision, in terms of taking care of the children. You have children that you have been, birthed. Perhaps you even went to visit during Christmas holidays and you took some things to the family or extended family, let's say auntie, uncle, trickery in a way was, there between the woman, the wife, and perhaps their family. You went and did a little something, and according to their culture, they recognize it as a form of marriage. Then you're in a certain form of marriage that you did not know you're in. And until you go back and dissolve it, either through the same customs or you go to court, then you're still married to them. So it means you have to first dissolve all of them before you can choose someone take to what? Wow. To church. Because church is highly monogamous. You cannot have multiple in church under church setup.
Wow. At how many years do we consider to be a couple in cohabitation? Because I know this law was trying to come up to say that if you cohabit with somebody 15, 20 years, is it so? Something like that. You automatically become a wife. Is the law now saying that even if you have cohabited for 40 years, still you are not a wife? How does the law favor that woman who has been with this man who refused to take them for any customary or church, but they've lived for 30 or 40 years? Does the law favor this person?
I think the law has been argumentative in that nature of cohabitation, because cohabitation varies and the reasons vary too. Because the scenarios vary. Your scenario is different from the other person's scenario. So you find yourself that it's very hard to say if you cohabit for these years, because you'll be limiting other people that probably have cohabited for less, calling them that they are not customarily married, even when someone did not introduce them. So it's a gray area that for me has not yet been outrightly addressed by court, that to say that if you cohabit for these years, you're a wife. Other jurisdictions have. We have seen the US, what it has said. I think about how long you've been with a spouse, and now you can, go into a formal setup of marriage. But I think we have not yet come out to pronounce it in Uganda that if these years are over and someone did not take you to church, you're under a customary setup, perhaps customary, because that's not church. Yeah, we haven't yet. But perhaps this is something that the pro bono or the other initiatives that want constitutional interpretation, like they did in the Uganda women pro bono initiative, in this case, went to court for some issues to be resolved. These are some of the areas that perhaps they should come up with and address, so that we as a general public know, and society know where to belong, and societies can vie for their rights because they have enough information in that area.
Wow, this is amazing. I've also bring out this scenario of where I've seen a man is culturally married in Uganda here and travels to the United States or the UK and also chooses to marry somebody the other side. I am in a civil marriage in the USA. I'm in the customary marriage in Uganda. Is that valid? And which marriage in this case is valid? Customary married in Uganda and civil married in the US or in the UK or in Canada. Which marriage is actually valid?
The valid marriage is a customary marriage in Uganda.
Tell us why.
Why? Because it was celebrated first. I told you time is important.
Yes.
It was celebrated first, and that person traveled before they dissolved it.
Yes.
And went and celebrated a civil marriage in Canada or UK or the USA.
Yes.
Now that civil marriage also is more like church marriage. It's more like it doesn't support being polygamous. It's also highly one woman, one man. So if the resources are available, of course, you can sue that that marriage to be dissolved. But you see, most people that do that are perhaps incapacitated in a way that they cannot perhaps follow up and enforce their rights to be as women in a different setup, let's say in the US or Canada. So they let it go as long as a man can ably provide for them in Uganda, they're like, let
Yes.
it be, because I'm not there perhaps to fulfill the conjugal rights. You've
Yes.
got someone else. So we have consented to polygamy. You leave your husband to go work, and you don't know when you're going to relocate there.
Yes.
And then you find yourself that you got someone to,
To officiate.
not to officiate only, to warm his bed
Yes.
that time. And then one warming bed took up, and a child was born out of it. And now, because the papers were, wanting, he says, oh, let's get married in a civil setup,
Yes.
so that I can also get required papers.
Yes.
So that, in a way, is a challenging area that we have consented to as,
Yes.
let's say, as Africans. I'm calling that because I'm one of them. As a society, as we have condoned it.
Now, in this time where you see the ratio of men to women, the ratio and the gap is widening. There are more women than the males. Because if you look at, most of our males are in jail. That's why they say the good men are in jail. But in this case where there are more women than the men, where would you advise a man? What would you advise a man to do? I know as a woman, you'd say keep on one. But in the situation you're seeing now, for men not to have a lot of challenges out there, what would you advise a man who came to you and says, yes, at one point I would want to marry a second or third wife? What would you advise a man?
First of all, disclaimer, I'm a Christian.
Yes.
Disclaimer.
Yes.
Bravo, I'm a Christian.
Yes.
So this is purely perhaps for argumentative sake.
Yes.
Not what I believe in.
Yes.
So this is a disclaimer for me.
Yes.
I would perhaps, of course, best form of marriage, if you're not Muslim,
Yes.
definitely, and you don't want to convert to Muslim where you have 4 hakis, you take all of them under customary introduction, and you fulfill what is required of you under a customary setup.
Yes. So
then you can marry as many as you want.
Yes.
You go and pick from whichever region, whichever color, whichever tribe and tongue, and you marry them under culture, and the law will not take you into its hand, and no one will see you for bigamy.
Yes.
Yes.
And for as long as those marriages are registered, if you're not registered in your marriage, remember, even if you're customary married, please go and register your marriages at URSB, Uganda Services Registration Bureau. They have to register even that Kwanjurai that you did. You'll see this certificate that you have, but is it there? And if it is not registered, guys, then you don't fall anywhere. We've always seen that ignorance is no defense.
Yes. Ignorance of the law is no defense.
And for you who wants to divorce as well, are you aware that your marriage, probably it is not registered? And if your marriage is registered, you're lucky. If you're not, there are so many, and I will tell you the truth, so many marriages that were conducted before, I think 2020, 10 to 10, most of them, most of the marriages that were conducted 10 years ago are not registered. And I would request you guys that go and register your marriages. Don't sit and relax. At one point when you get a challenge, you bring out that certificate which is being hidden somewhere, and they tell you this certificate is not valid. And I know so many are going through that. But I guess we put this on the issue of the churches who have relaxed. After getting their money, they don't care about this. And everybody says we are locales, and they go into churches.
No, churches have to know, or we have to know, there are certain regulations that URSB puts to churches for them to have that license. There are certain requirements and boxes you have to tick of what is required of you as a church for you to celebrate that marriage. And it can only be got from the registrar of marriages. Though now I think it has been transferred to NERA.
I think the register of marriages is NERA.
Yes,
it's not,
it has been, but the requirements are the same. Nothing changes.
So let's happen. If I was married and I realized my marriage was not registered, what do I do as an individual? Do I go back to the church that wedded me, or I go direct to NERA with my husband, or how will they prove that actually this was marriage conducted there?
Now,
for them to register
by that time, they have a list of all approved churches that are meant to celebrate across the entire Uganda. So when they have the list of marriages, they see the church you're celebrating in your marriage and at what time. It either invalidates a marriage and they tell you, oh, look here, you are not in the books. At that time, it wasn't supposed to celebrate. Or if it was allowed to celebrate, go back and bring that return. The other person, even who is currently there in that church, should bring that return to us. Then that we shall validate our registry by including you as one of the married people in Uganda.
So an individual can't walk to NERA to register their marriage at this point?
it's very, very hard at this time because they identify, like you call them agents. The churches are agents.
So means somebody go back to churches. What I get from the lawyer, go back to your church that wedded or conducted your marriage.
Yes.
And make sure that church goes to NIRA to make sure the information is put there.
Yes.
Wow, it's hard work now.
It's hard work.
Yeah, it's hard work, but I think you know that this information is very, very important. And we are here, guys, not to despise anyone's religion or anyone's culture. The law has clearly put it up. When you choose to go customary, go for your customary marriage. If you choose to go to your church, then they will lock you in. If you have chosen to go civil marriage, they have also locked you in.
Yeah.
I still say, why does civil also lock us? Okay, if the churches and the Christians are whatever, they are locking us in. Why is civil also locking us in?
In what way?
Locking us at one wife, one husband.
That is for you to ask the government of Uganda why. That is for you to ask the government of Uganda why some.
Because many people have gone there and they have gone back to the customary marriages.
Yes.
And this has caused a lot of pain.
Yes.
And distress to so many people.
Yes.
But I think as long as your marriage was taken there and you go back here,
yes,
it is still illegal.
It's still
what
illegal.
happens in scenario of these children who are born legally? Maybe I did civil, but I gave birth to my children customarily. Does the law take care of these children?
The law of children is very, very clear.
Yes.
Whether you were born in what kind of marriage or setup, for them, they don't care. The welfare principle in accordance with the Children's Act and the rights of the children in the Constitution are paramount.
Yes.
You have to know that whether you people are having issues in whatever form of marriage you're in, the rights of a child are paramount. The child has to be cared for in a free environment, go to school, have clothing, have shelter over her or his head. So whether you dissolve your marriage, a child's interest for it is not affected by the kind of decision you took as mature people. You have to have that at the back of your mind. Whatever you do, whether you run around many 10, 20, but the problem is, what I can highlight to the viewers today is the problem in our current situation is you have very many wives. You can take your husband or person who, let's say baby father, I think, because others are called baby mamas, to police to report a case. But then that poor person will come and give, let's say he has another family elsewhere, who is attached to more than you. Perhaps you just give birth and he left. You'll end up having a scenario where this man is going to provide once or twice through the police. 50K, the police will ask for something in return. By the time he deposits at police, because you are not at good talking terms, and you find yourself being helpless as a woman. So what I appeal to women is this: do not look at the man as a sole provider for each and everything. Go out and have skills that can provide for your child. If you know the kind of setup you're in, if you consented to that kind of setup, other times you didn't consent. You found yourself in such a way that you found yourself in a polygamous setup, yet you had thought that you wanted a monogamous, or you have a relationship with a man that wasn't looking at you alone, but was looking at so many at the same time, and he was sharp enough, like you have seen this podcast, to celebrate only customary marriage between all of you, thinking was going to provide, but he chose one out of the many to love more by being at their place more than he can provide for you and your family. You cannot rely on such a man. You have to go out there and provide for yourself. You have to go out there and live for your children and make sure they go through the schools they have to go to, and make sure they have education, a shelter over their head, though the man can contribute to certain things, because you have seen cases in court where a man says, I cannot afford it. I cannot afford such a school. Unless you take a child to a UPE school, I cannot afford a private school right now. And this affects the integral part of a child's well-being. Though the court will uphold the welfare principle of the child as being very paramount in all situations, not certain, in all situations.
Does giving birth with a man make them your husband?
No. Giving birth with a man doesn't make them your husband. Like I say, I'm sorry, I'm not going to offend anyone, because probably these are my views, these are not your views. That person can only have come, let's say, I'm not going to offend that ever. Let me humbly, if someone comes to have a child with you, it's not an entitlement for you to think that they are your husbands. No, it's not. That person could have come for one reason, just to give birth with you and go away.
or maybe they were not intended to give birth with you.
Oh, they're not
was for a
invented.
casual
It was a
maybe
casual
fun and-
engagement, or
Yes.
perhaps I met you online. Like these days, people meet online,
Yes,
and probably ended up having a few too many drinks.
yes,
And then we ended up in a certain situation we wouldn't be in. That's why I tell girls, please be sober at all times and
Yes.
make the right decisions and have the right information
yes,
for you not to be in trouble.
yes,
And you regret. And you know, you have seen most of these videos circulating, Bravo, where you see a woman hit a child so bad and you feel like you cry.
yes,
Because I cannot imagine the situation she's going through as a person, and that she has taken her emotions
yes,
to the child. Either she's frustrated in that kind of arrangement she's in with the father of the child. They have ended up killing their own children. They ended up, you know, beating them up to death, starving them.
yeah,
So you have to accept the situation you're in and how you're going to handle it for the best interest of your child,
yes,
and not expect that God, that man is your alpha, your omega, your God, and your all in all.
yeah,
Because you're capable of having so much done for that child, and that child will grow up. I know single mothers that are doing so well.
yeah,
I know single mothers that have decided, you know what, I went in it, I knew it, or even if I didn't know, this is the outcome, this is my blood,
yeah,
and I know this child will be great one day. So I'm going to treat them right and sacrifice what I can for them to be better citizens. I know.
yeah,
But not all of them think the same. Not all of us think the same or do the same.
yeah.
There are videos circulating, and you feel like should that mother, should she have
She has
been a
trauma.
mother? Like she has trauma herself,
Yeah.
and she's indeed traumatizing the little child
Yeah.
because of her trauma in a relationship she's in.
Yeah.
So it's not fair, Bravo.
Should we say that women should take almost 90% responsibility in when engaging with a man? Because these days we have a lot of the family planning,
Yeah.
where a woman really needs to be prepared also
Yes.
to have a child,
Yes.
and not say that it was by mistake with this man,
Yes.
so that we don't sink into depression and
Yes.
post,
Eh.
whatever, all
Yeah.
those traumas and whatever.
Mm.
I think women should also take full
But
responsibility.
they know.
Yes.
There is information flying everywhere. Health centers,
Yes.
Ministry of Health tries to,
Yeah.
put out information there. Do you know that women do not know that there are pills they have to take in case they don't want to,
Yeah.
conceive?
Yes.
If you're not ready for it, and you don't have to tell someone not ready. If you're not ready mentally, you're not ready for it.
Yeah.
They don't know that they have the power, but they don't want to use that power at that very time. They want, sometimes some women use it as a way of
trick,
trapping
the man,
thinking the man is going to come to me. I've read very many social media handles that say a man, however much you provide for a man, you give them the emotion, the physical, everything you can as a woman.
Yes.
A man that wants to be kept will want to be kept by you.
Yes.
He will, even if you go out of your way and say, I will fly to the moon and back, that's not enough.
Yes.
A man who wants to be kept by you, even if you don't trick him into having a child, will stick by your side.
Yes.
So they forget that the men are a different character. I'm saying this.
Yeah.
They are different characters altogether everywhere.
Yes.
So there is no way you can entrust these other rights, especially in reproductive health rights, to a man. Yet you are the one that is going to conceive that child. Yes. You have the pills that come in case you're not sure of the partner. Yes. Even in case you're not sure of the status of you. Though I don't advise them, you should be. Yeah. You should be able to engage your partner or what status they are in. But I think before there were certain drugs that were being, in case you're not sure of the person that probably you had a drink with and you got engaged with, there is something that can prevent, I think, health-wise from contracting the HIV. Yes. They don't know that it's there. Yes. So they need to seek information first so that they take care of their health first and they have the mental state for them to go into a certain kind of setup.
Wow. Mm. That's amazing, guys. This is information that really would also help us, both men and women. In few words, Christine, conclude that law and clearly, for somebody not even to go look for it, what does the law, as we end our podcast, in summary, what was decided by court for the layman's understanding, so that they understand not celebrate or celebrate?
Okay. What was decided in that case in the constitutional petition was, according to me, it failed.
Yes.
It failed. You have to know that it didn't succeed, though we decide to read it in parts for our benefit or probably to satisfy our ego or something, or to encourage us to go and celebrate many marriages. Yes. But Justice Margaret Ibulia with other four justices of the Court of Appeal, where the constitutional court, were also very, they were they reasserted what we already know in our books of statutes out there. They reasserted the fact that we cannot take out the rights of that are embedded in our laws, especially the two acts that support polygamy is the Customary Marriage Registration Act and the Mohammedan Act that says that you need 4 hakis. The other customary does not even give a number.
Yes.
So they thought that they had said we condone polygamy across board, even in church marriages and civil marriages.
Yes.
No, they did not say that.
Yes.
And they have to know that if they need the case, perhaps we can put it there for your benefit to read it and appreciate it.
Yes.
But they did not agree with the assertions of the Women Pro Bono Initiative. Perhaps, maybe for one reason or another, but they did not want to go back and infringe. The people that believed in their cultures and say, no, now we have changed the law, we need one woman. It was going to be a landslide case in case they said now they dwell with the customs and traditions of people who have believed in that practice for centuries. Yes. Or the Muhammad that believe in the Quran, that also have the right to religion in our country. Yes. And to also with their beliefs that say you have to have 4 hakis as long as you provide for them and you love them equally. I don't know how that is done. Anyway.
Possible, yes.
It's possible. But for me, in conclusion, I know that we have to be careful what form of marriage we celebrate, because this is a consent issue. You accept even before you go into that form of marriage. Even women have to consent. That is why when you go to a Muslim and they say convert, because they want you to convert so that they can marry as many of you as you can, and it's okay with you. Then if you have a right and say, no, I want to convert to a certain religion, convert if you feel like that's a marriage that you want to celebrate. Yes. Because you have the right to belong to any form of religion you want to across board in this country. Yes. That's a right you are given according to the Constitution and other, and other protocols and charters we as a country, are part of. So it doesn't guarantee, this case, a constitutional petition doesn't guarantee that polygamy is legal in Uganda. Yes. It is only for two laws under which you fall, and which have implications to it. Yes. That is under the Mohammedan and under the Cultural Registration, Customary Registration Act, that you can celebrate the polygamous form of marriage. It is not in a Christian marriage, and I say it again, it is not men out there that think they are going to celebrate many marriages in a Christian setup. It is not there. You will be sued for bigamy, you will be sued for everything you have, you will end up at police, you will end up at court. So I'm begging you to probably appreciate it and accept the law as it was, so is it now. Nothing has changed. Yes. They have not declared, like in the constitutional petition. I remember the one of female lawyers for which also said certain sections of the Divorce Act were gender whatever sensitive, and they also said they did not have fundamental rights of women in place, when they say that during divorce proceedings the woman has proved 2 grounds of divorce, like cruelty coupled with some other whatever, let's say cruelty coupled with desertion. Now that one was ruled out, that when you go to a divorce case, also a woman can prove 1 ground just like a man. It's not like that. You understand? So we have to be very careful and keen and have information that will help us form an opinion for what we want to celebrate, the kind of marriage you have to enter in before we enter it.
Wonderful. So thank you so much, guys. Polygamy is allowed in Uganda, and also monogamy is allowed, and both are legal. But where do you choose to go? If you have gone monogamy and you want to go polygamy, then the law will catch up with you. But should you go also polygamy, and at one time you want to run off from polygamy to monogamy, still the law will catch up with you as well. So in the first place, or in the first instance, choose what you feel you can permanently manage. Otherwise, the law will manage you. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure, and thank you so much, guys, for being on our podcast. And it's always Bravo and Counsel Christine. It's our pleasure always having her here, and we always bring her in. If you feel there's something you want to know more about the same topic on others, just DM me or write below this post, and we will always come back and address it. Thank you so much, and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.